Picture this: Jerusalem, the year is 1119. The air is heavy with incense, the streets crowded with pilgrims clutching wooden crosses, their eyes wide with fear. Bandits lurk on the dusty roads, waiting for the unwary. The journey to the Holy Land is supposed to be sacred, but for many it's a death sentence. And then, out of the chaos, 9 men step forward. Knights, poor, ragged, with nothing but their swords and their faith. They kneel in the shadow of the Temple Mount and vow to protect the faithful with their lives. No one could have guessed that from this small brotherhood would rise one of the most powerful, most feared, and most mysterious organizations in medieval history: the Knights Templar. They would become warriors, bankers, landlords, diplomats, so powerful that kings bowed to them. And then, just as quickly, they would be betrayed, tortured, and burned. Their rise and fall would shake Christendom to its core, and their legend would echo for centuries. It began with Hugh de Payens and 8 companions. They weren't princes or lords, just minor knights bound by faith. Their mission was simple: protect Christian pilgrims on the road to Jerusalem. At first, people laughed. 9 knights to patrol thousands of miles of dangerous roads. But what they lacked in numbers, they made up for in devotion. They established their headquarters in a place dripping with symbolism: the Temple Mount. To Christians, it was the site of Solomon's temple. To Muslims, it was the Dome of the Rock. To the Templars, it was holy ground, and from it, they took their name: the Poor Knights of Christ and the Temple of Solomon. When word spread of their courage, donations poured in. Nobles gave land, merchants gave gold, farmers gave livestock, and soon the poor knights were poor no longer. The church saw their potential. In 1129, the Council of Troyes officially recognized the Templars. The Pope himself granted them extraordinary privileges. They answered only to him, not to any king or bishop. Their rules were strict. They wore plain white mantles, marked only with a red cross. They ate simple food, slept in communal halls, and swore vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. But when they rode into battle, they were terrifying. Templar knights charged in disciplined formations, striking fear into enemies who believed they were unstoppable. Chroniclers wrote that the Templars would fight until the last man, never breaking ranks. To the faithful, they were God's chosen warriors. To their enemies, they were demons in white cloaks. But the Templars were more than fighters. They were innovators. Pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land could deposit money in a Templar commandery in Paris, receive a coded note, and withdraw the equivalent in Jerusalem. This was revolutionary, an international banking system centuries ahead of its time. They owned castles, farms, vineyards, mills. Their fleet sailed the Mediterranean, carrying treasure and information. Kings borrowed from them, merchants trusted them, and the people whispered that the Templars were richer than God himself. In less than 2 centuries, they had gone from 9 poor knights to one of the wealthiest and most powerful organizations in Europe. At their peak, the Templars controlled nearly 1,000 commanderies across Europe and the Middle East. They built massive fortresses. Croc des Chevaliers in Syria, still standing today, was called an impregnable mountain of stone. They fought in every crusade, their banners flying at the front. They negotiated with kings and popes, held secrets, and carried rumors of lost relics, perhaps even the Holy Grail. To the common people, they seemed invincible. To kings, they seemed untouchable. And that's when envy began to grow. By the late 1200s, the Crusades were failing. The Holy Land slipped away, castle by castle. Pilgrimages slowed, donations dwindled, and the Templars, once seen as God's army, were now criticized. Had their pride driven away God's favor? Meanwhile, their wealth made them dangerous. Kings owed them mountains of debt. Chief among them was Philip IV of France, a man known as Philip the Fair, though not for his honesty. He was broke, desperate, and ruthless, and he had his eyes set on the Templars' fortune. On Friday, October 13th, 1307, just before dawn, Philip struck. Templars across France were arrested in a single coordinated raid. Their leaders, including Grand Master Jacques de Molay, were dragged in chains before inquisitors. The charges? Heresy, idolatry, devil worship, spitting on the cross, obscene initiation rituals. Under torture, many confessed. Anything to stop the pain. Some said they worshipped a severed head. Others admitted to denying Christ. Historians now believe these confessions were lies, forced under duress. But the damage was done. Friday the 13th, forever remembered as a day of bad luck, was born in blood and betrayal. Philip leaned on the Pope, and in 1312, the Templars were officially dissolved. Their lands were seized, their wealth divided, their brothers scattered. Some joined other orders. Others rotted in prison. But the Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, would not be silenced. In 1314, after years of torture, he was burned at the stake in Paris. Witnesses say that as the flames rose, he cried out, cursing both the Pope and the King, summoning them to God's judgment within a year. And then, the legend. Within 12 months, both the Pope and Philip were dead. Coincidence, divine justice, or the final triumph of a dying order? History doesn't say, but the myth was born. The Templars were gone, but their ghost lingered. People whispered of hidden treasure, secret knowledge, and survivors who went underground. The Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, even modern conspiracy theories, all claim descent from the Templars. Were they truly guarding the Holy Grail? Did they hide relics beneath the Temple Mount? Or were they simply victims of envy and greed, their legend inflated by centuries of rumor? One thing is certain, their rise and fall is one of the greatest dramas of the Middle Ages. A tale of faith and betrayal, courage and greed, light and shadow. So what do you think? Were the Templars saints, sinners, or something in between? Their story reminds us that power attracts both devotion and destruction, and that sometimes legends last longer than truth. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe the Templars' secrets are still hidden somewhere? And if you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more journeys into the lost, the legendary, and the forgotten corners of history.